Cultivate the Culture Podcast.
Yo, what's going on, fam?
What up, sir? What's up? What's up?
Man, we are
a long time.
Man, back in the house for the 2-3.
What do you say? Back in the lab again.
You know it. Man, what's up to the listeners out there? Yo, man, listen, we are so excited to have y'all here. I know you probably like, who are y'all? So we're going to break that down. But we just excited to be here. So, this is Cultivate the Culture Podcast, and you are tuned in, and we just going to give it to you, man. We're going to talk about the culture and how we cultivate it. I mean, it's just that simple, but it's really not that simple.
Yeah. we can get into it, but cultivate the culture. 2023. It's been a long time, right?
It's been a long time, man. All right. Once again, I know y'all like, who are y'all? Let's tell the people who we are, and then we're gonna tell them how we got here. All right?
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
All right. So, my name is Verses. That's right, Verses from the crew Rhymes Elect. I know you still like, who was that? Well, y'all keep listening to the podcast. You'll find out way more about Rhymes Elect and where we come from. But I'm Verses, aka Larry. And just happy to be here, man. Brother just turned 50 years old, man.
Been in this
50. Call 50. Been in this thing for a minute.
Y'all? Yep. This is Signet, aka Anthony, aka Big Ant. Yeah. But it's good, man. It's good to be back on the media with you. And, I'm excited. I'm trying to contain myself and not jump ahead.
Yes, sir.
Just really excited to be back with my guy, Verses. It's been a while, man. It's been a while.
Yeah. No, like you said, we've been doing this for a while. Cultivate the culture, and Ann's gonna break down what that means. But just so you know, this is something that we believe God put in our hearts back in 2003, maybe 2002, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. Early part of the millennium, y'all.
Yeah.
Probably even before. It could have been 1999. It was a long time ago. It was back when we recorded our first CD together as a group called Rhymes Elect. Mm-hmm. And we were doing a thing, man. Just doing Christian hip hop, concerts here and there especially around the Tennessee and Ohio areas, and just trying to spread the gospel.
Yep.
And God spoke to us and gave us this, and was telling us ways we can do it, and giving us methods and tactics and techniques.
Yeah, man. You know what the crazy part about it is that this was like we met in Ames, Iowa.
Yes.
Right. And so just think about something like that coming out of Iowa,
right?
And then we finally connect. See, I'm trying to avoid giving the years. I'm trying to avoid giving the years.
You gotta give it to him, man. That's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Back in 1992, 1992 is when I got there.
Yes, sir. I got there in 91. I was
91,
there.
And
Ames,
so
Iowa, y'all.
We interacted. We kind of interacted a little bit, and like a couple of years later, we connected through the Body of Christ Church, BCC, All Things Common, on Iowa State campus.
Yep.
We graduated,
left Iowa.
You left first, right?
I left first. I graduated first. Moved to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And I went to Tennessee.
You went to Tennessee. I moved back to Cincinnati. So from Cincinnati, and me being in Cincinnati and you being in Tennessee, that's when things really started to jump off with Rhymes Elect, and when we really decided to take it serious, because we had been doing hip hop before that, just at school. More so. It was more so, I guess, I don't even want this infant stages, you know what I'm saying? Writing rhymes. I mean, we might do something a little in the talent show or something like that here and there, but once we actually left Iowa, it became more serious when we were like, look, let's put together a CD, man. Let's just, record and just do it.
Yep.
And then
what's crazy about it though, we actually did it in East Tennessee. Johnson City, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Shout out to our guy James
Fortress Studios.
Fortress Studio.
Yes, man.
And that story is crazy. So I'm still it's still wild to me to think about it. Like we were at an event. It was supposed to be like a New Year's Eve event or something. And the sound man was James.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that was before he came up to us while we was doing the test. He was going to sound check or whatever, and he came to us like, hey, I got a studio.
Right. Y'all want to record? He was like, what? Because I think we had been trying to record. We had tried to do a couple things before, and it just didn't work out. But we had some music. We had a couple of little beats, and then he had a musician that he put us with who did most of the album, and I think that CD, I think they released that in 2003.
2000. Was it 2003?
Dang, we should have looked. It was. It might have been 2002.
Yeah, because I remember when we met him, it was the year 2000. It was it was 1999 in December 31st. He was the sound man. The event was going to go into the new year.
Yes, right, man. Yes.
And as we
that's what we was doing on the
I just remember we had a lot of jokes.
Yes, that was what we were doing on Y2K, y'all.
Yeah, Y2K.
Yeah, that is funny.
Yeah,
because that's a blur. Because I was thinking we was already recording by then, but you're right, we weren't. We met James then.
I do remember this event in Nashville, though. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast. We had our music on CD. We had this nice studio we was going to record.
Right.
Remember? Drove off. The music was on top of the car.
Oh, and that joker just scratched up. We were on our way to the studio. No, we were in Cincinnati. That actually happened in Cincinnati. Y'all came down to Cincinnati, met us. Because remember, I think I had y'all in some hotel, man. It was not the best hotel, bro. But we were like, all right, we're gonna pull off. I think we were driving to Tennessee to record somewhere.
Okay, that's what it was.
It wasn't Fortress. Somewhere.
No, it wasn't Fortress. This was before Fortress.
Yeah, we were going to try to record somewhere, and I remember that CD just. And I think we still went. Like maybe it'll still work.
We try to piece it together, duct tape, put some glue on it. We try to make it work. Rubbing alcohol, nothing worked.
Right. So I looked it up. You're right. So Rhymes Elect, Lyrical Resurrection was the name of the CD. It came out in 2002.
Wow.
Lyrical Resurrection. If you look it up, y'all, it's still on Apple and Spotify and everything. Rhymes Elect, Lyrical Resurrection.
Yep.
That was our first production, and I guess really fully only production is Rhymes Elect.
We have some. Yeah, we got some in the queue somewhere.
Yeah, we got some music in the vault.
Yeah. That hadn't been released, but we'll pull it out every now and then and just say, remember when we used to.
Right. Hey, well, with this podcast, we might have to drop a couple of jewels.
Drop a couple jewels, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but anyway, man, what was interesting about the whole thing is that we started out, producing and trying to do CD or whatever. But one of the things we found out was that as we would go to different events, and most of the time it was like youth events, we have youth and, we got their attention. So we're like talking to them in between and things like that. And so, once we had their attention, we started talking to them just about life things, how do you apply these principles to life?
Right.
And so we started talking about different topics and things and how can we be more organized in our thoughts? And so that's kind of like how Cultivate the Culture kind of came out of it. Like really, like the music started first,
right?
But then we started talking more about concepts,
right? Yeah, because like you said, it was out of them. a lot of the concerts, quote unquote concerts we were doing, like you said, we're a youth group. So it was a lot of youth groups, might have been, but all over the youth groups, sometimes there might have just been some, not festival, what do they call them? Well, like a festival, neighborhood festival or something like that. It was a bunch of different types of opportunities. But yeah, like you said, like in between songs or something like that, we try to give them a little word, give them a little, a little advice, a little scripture. And, depending on the age, halftime they weren't listening, and
right. Like, oh, man, put the music back on.
Right, let's put the music back on so we can jump around. But I think, from that too, and like I said, we got a lot more to talk about, but we'll give you a tip. Like one of the things that spawned Cultivate the Culture was being in those kind of atmospheres and realizing like, man, and not that, we talking about like teens and stuff. So obviously, these teens ain't got their lives together yet and, read the Bible every day and we know, so we know, but at the same time, we still felt like, man, but these are the teens that are coming here. It's like, but what about the ones that ain't here? What about the ones that's still out in the street that ain't gonna come to the church basement, on a Friday night, Saturday night? So I think, we began to really fit. And once again, I told you to listen to the CD. So now pause this right now and then go maybe just listen to the first 3 tracks on our CD.
Right.
And you'll see, we were literally quoting scripture. You know what I'm saying? It was a very Christian CD, I would say, I would think, So, which was, nothing wrong with that. That was just what God gave us at the time. But, it was kind of like, man, but how are we going to reach those ones outside the 4 walls? And that was, once again, how Cultivate the Culture and even the later music that we would record, really started to move in that direction. Right.
Verses, if you had any time to interact with Verses, whether it's, he's taking photos or setting up, some type of podcast or even as a solo CD, that he's very creative and he has his name Verses for a reason.
Thank you, sir.
So he the one came up with the flow, like Cultivate the Culture. So I'm like, man, that it just flows so well. But then we started to look at the meaning behind it. I remember you came up with this one like topic to kind of say, okay, we're going to talk about finances, right? And so talked about cream.
Yes.
And so you used this cream. What's that from? Wu-Tang?
From Wu-Tang, yeah.
Wu-Tang, right?
$5 bill, y'all.
Yeah. What did you say, cream? You remember what cream is?
Man, I'm not even going to remember it.
I'm not going to tell you, like, we're not going to talk about cream Wu-Tang, but I'm going to tell you cream Verses.
Verses, okay. What was it?
So Christ ruled everything around me, or Christ rules everything around me except me, right? You said money rules everything around me except me.
Yes.
And so we were using the concept of finances.
Right.
And so we were talking about, money, money is, to the benefit to use it, but you can't let money use you.
Right.
And so you just use that creative acronym.
Yeah. And that, and that was because, back then and
cash.
Even now, it just, you realize like, in school, I forgot to tell y'all that Brother Ant over here is an educator. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's an educated educator.
In the front line.
The front lines. But most schools, I won't say all, but most schools, especially public schools, they don't teach life skills.
Yeah.
And it's expected that you would get that from the home, but guess what? A lot of homes that's not taught either. So when it comes to finances, man, it's kind of like the atmosphere or what you see, I guess your parents do and how they spend money and save money and do whatever with money. That's kind of how you learn, and most of the times it's not good or it's not, and I'm not talking about even just the whole build wealth and, all that, which is excellent too. I'm talking about just how to just like pay your bills on time and, and not take out credit cards, all those kind of just basic things. So that was kind of where that evolved from. It was like, don't let money rule you. But learn how to rule. And
the other side of that, we were we were very critical in a loving way, I think, of just like hip hop in general. So both of us grew up in the year that hip hop started.
1973, y'all, 50th anniversary.
So we were born into just the idea of, hip hop in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew that, a lot of music that came out, especially the ones that we grew up in. And then as we even became adults, like all of the music, most of the music was around like cash. Like you got to have like diamonds, you got to have the gold chain. And so a lot of the ideas and, around hip hop was about the more you have, you got to have more money.
Right.
You got to make sure you have the rims.
Right.
They still do rims now.
Man, listen, I saw some car the other day, bro. It was some people do, but it's not like it used to be.
It ain't like it used to be. Spinning wheels, the Latrell freewheels,
right.
Spinning wheels. But this is what we were seeing a lot in the music. So you watch the videos, you see all these things portrayed in terms of, making you believe that you got to have a lot of money. And so I brought that up as an example that we tried to, flip the script in terms. That was another phrase that we used to use all the time. Flip the script in terms of finances. And so, of course, we use hip hop. We took something from hip hop that was popular, that was out there, that was banging.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang, of course.
Yeah.
And flipped it. Cash rules everything around me except me.
Except
right?
me. Yep.
And we use that as a hook. And so basically, we started using Cultivate the Culture and said, oh man, that's tight. Like we can start talking about, this. And so we talked about sexuality. We talked about sexual purity. We began to use different phrases from the hip hop, and we kind of came up with some themes in terms of, how can we integrate this idea of how do you live in the culture and not be of the culture.
Right.
How do you live in the culture, not let the culture influence you? And so when Verses came up with that Cultivate the Culture, man, I was like, oh man.
I'm telling you, that was none but the Lord, man. I mean, because I just remember just being, man, engulfed in hip hop. And when I say engulfed in hip hop, I don't mean like in a negative sense, really like you said, like studying that joint and like really being critical and, and then but also knowing that, man, this is a tool. Like this is a tool that can be used for teaching, for educating the youth, who even more than us is really ingrained. Like I said, when we were coming up, first 10 years, we probably didn't even hear hip hop because that was just all in New York. But by the time like Curtis Blow and Sugar Hill Gang, so you started hearing it and started growing, but it still was one of those things where, you kind of had to find it, but now, and at the time back in, the early 2000s when we were doing this, it was like, it was ingrained, like it took over. Hip hop took over music, took over the culture. So it definitely became something that the youth, like, it was ingrained in them more so than even us. So how can we use that as a tool to help them? And there, man, there's been plenty of examples, and hopefully, over time and doing this podcast, we'll be able to talk to some of the folks who did some of the things we even wanted to do, but we never really got around to, but like we really wanted to like come up with some ways like to form an organization that use hip hop, as a teaching tool. And like I said, there's been so many that have done that. And we definitely want to give them shots out. And like I said, hopefully have a chance to have them on the podcast and talk about, what they've done and give us the metrics, talk about how they've seen growth and the students they've been working with, all that. So man, but that's what Cultivate the Culture is. It's like using those tools, that even people may look at as negative, but trying to use it in a positive way to really influence people to do good. You know what I'm saying? Man, God, Jesus made it real simple, y'all. Love your neighbor, and God, love yourself. Like that's it. Like, if we can like figure that out, it's really simple. It's really simple. But there are a lot of things out there in the world that it can make it difficult. And and the idea too. So critical of hip hop culture, but we was also at the same time we was also balancing this, being critical of the way church is presented to to the young folks, right? So there's a reason they didn't want to come, because typically church is
is presented for when you get older, when you become an adult.
Get your suits and get your deacons and you get the preacher that preach like, I can't even do it, right? But you know what I'm talking about.
But, it's kind of like, the teenagers that we were interacting with, the message was pretty much, you the future for tomorrow, right? And so soon as we, they're going to bring somebody in that's closer to their age to do, some hip hop or whatever, some gospel hip hop to preach to the youth. And, they knew it was coming, right? They knew what was about to happen.
Right.
They was going to do some music and then they was going to get preached to, right? But we came with a generation of, to come as you are, like, didn't have to dress up to go to church, but you can come in your own gear and still represent, Christ and, in who you are. So if you were engulfed in hip hop, it wasn't necessarily like you leave it at the door, but we knew that one of the things in terms of what we wanted to do and express and cultivate the culture is that we knew that, people have gifts, right? And everybody that have gifts or talents or abilities or skills, it didn't mean necessarily that you had to go and be in the pulpit,
right?
Get in the choir,
right? To
express and show those gifts. But you can show those gifts in your job. You can show those gifts when you're at school, when you're on campus, when you're in your career. And so we wanted to kind of articulate that even better, as we increase in our understanding in terms of what God would have us to do with the gifts that he's given us. And what we believe is that these gifts are given to us to cultivate the culture that we're in.
Right.
Whether we're at work, whether we're at school, whether we're at church, right?
Yeah.
We want to be a positive influence in whatever we do. If you produce music, if you make music, if you make, you're an actor,
whatever, man.
Whatever it is,
you're a
right?
transportation planner.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're a teacher. Whatever it is, like, in that culture, how can you be effective and be effective? And like I said, without getting all, but basically being an effective minister. But like I said, without necessarily having to, okay, y'all, it's Bible study time, or let me step up on this pulpit that I just made in the cafeteria, and just give me 5 minutes, and what I'm saying, like, it didn't have to be that way,
right? Right. So what we wanted to do is bring, cultivate the culture, and again, it's been simmering for 20 years.
20 years.
We kind of dabbled a little bit.
We had a podcast that we tried.
We had a podcast, yeah.
Only about 4 or 5 years ago. And we had a few episodes. I don't know, they might still be floating around there, but yeah, man, we wanted to make sure we bring it back, man, because this is definitely the best outlet for us too. Remember we said we're 20 years old, so I don't have any 20-year-old kids yet, but it's getting close. So kids, we over the last 20 years, man, have raised families and have grown families and in life, but thankfully you've also been able to excel in our fields. So, we're at the point though where, it's not over, and especially for this, it's like, there's no better time than now.
Right.
No better time than now to really take this bull by the horn and talk about, how we can do this. And also, like, and one of the things I keep saying, like, eventually we want to be able to bring some guests on so they can tell y'all how they cultivated the culture, and how they cultivate the culture and what they do in their everyday lives. So that's going to be part of this podcast. So you won't just be listening to us. We're going to bring on folks that we know, and hopefully folks that we don't even know,
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to, one of the things we didn't talk about that was really impactful to, and again, we use the phrase ministry that we were doing through hip hop, is that, one of the blessings was that when we went to Tennessee, we met DJ Selah.
Yes.
And so I can't wait for us to bring DJ Selah on the podcast with us. He definitely added another layer, layer took us to another level in terms of, his backstory and just who he is as a person and the things that he's gone through, and just his ability to connect with whoever he meets. And so we can't wait to have him on the podcast. Yeah.
We're going to have him on soon because he's going to tell us, I know he met a very influential artist, singer. A few weeks ago, so I know you're gonna have some stories to tell about that. So we might have to get him on real soon. Next episode.
Real soon.
Yes,
real soon. But you'll see once you hear DJ Selah on the mic, you're gonna know exactly what we're talking about. And so we're looking forward to having him on here. And you know, one of the things too, we didn't talk about this, but one of the things when we started too, with recording. You know, when we was in the studio with Fortress, we had our wives,
man,
dropping the voices,
the wives
man.
the man, bringing the vocals, the harmonies.
Yep.
So you can hear it all over that music, man. And like I said, the other music that we'll let y'all hear as well. But yeah, that was it. It was kind of like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of, I don't know if there's been groups like that, not in recent times.
Yeah.
But like the Fugees or something, but you know, somebody was married to Lauryn Hill and you know, I'm proud like it was like literally like just like that. Like, you know, we rapping, they were singing, and not just on, you know, in the studio, but also when we did, you know, concerts and shows. Man, it was great, bro. And traveling as a families, and it was just some fun times, bro. Fun times.
Yep. You know what's crazy is that I have my three oldest kids are all in some type of entertainment. So, you know, young AJ, he's about to be 29.
That is crazy.
So when you hear, like, you go and pull up that RE Lyrical Resurrection, you know, then you got the little what, 6 years old on the mic
controller. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's on there. I mean, so when you talk about a family affair, my next daughter, she's in LA studying to be a screenwriter, and then my next daughter, she's, you know, in theater. And so we're still waiting to see what's going to happen to my Quiet Storm, my youngest son. But, you know, it's just crazy. And I think it's an influence of, you know, all three of them being a part of, or being, you know, seeing us, you know, on stage, or, you know, whether we're speaking to, you know, folks, or encouragement with the gifts. And I'm hoping that, you know, what we model will be passed down to our own children. So now, that, you know, they're getting older and, you know, coming to their own selves and stuff. And, you know, as your kids are getting older and seeing the talents and gifts that they have, it's just going to be crazy to see that second layer in terms of that experience I think we had, you know, even from when we met in college. So
Absolutely. Yep. You know, another person we got to get a shout out, and it'd be great to get him on episode 2, is another big collaborator, Tony Stone.
Oh man.
Yeah, Tony Stone, y'all was, you know, like I said, some of y'all was familiar with Christian hip hop back in the 2000s.
Oh my goodness.
You familiar with Tony Stone? So, but that brother is another strong man of God, man, who's doing big things. I tell you he's back in Nashville. Back in Nashville, working in the ministry, man, and that's another guy we got to get on too.
True. Looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to that. T Stone. Yeah, man, we had a lot of, I mean, I'm wondering, like, other people like Ricky being forgiven. I'm wondering, like, what those two guys doing.
Yeah. Last I remember, I know Ricky B's been doing some movies and stuff.
A lot of people.
Yeah. So yeah, there's plenty of folks, man. We, you know, definitely want to reach out even to some of the folks in the, you know, the hip hop community. You know, we love to have them on as well. You know, talk about what they did and if they're still doing it, and, you know, because there's some folks that still doing it. So yeah,
and you know, the basic question that we're going to ask, you know, even as you're listening, you know, what are you doing to cultivate the culture that you're in?
Right.
And how are you doing that? How are you cultivating the culture that you're in? How are you using the gifts, the talents, the ability, the skills that you have to positively influence the culture that you're in? And so, you know, again, we're just going to keep it right there and kind of see what happens. And so we're looking forward to spending some time with you and spending time with our guests. And so, just excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to contain myself.
Absolutely. So let's see. we'll keep talking. So we don't want to do that because we'll start getting into topics, and next thing you know, we'll be
trying to contain myself.
Yeah, trying to have 5 or 6 episodes recorded tonight. So
yes, sir.
We gonna cut it right here, man. But what we want to do is have y'all tune in. We're gonna keep trying to put these up on a regular basis. And what we also want is feedback. So we'll be getting our social media active. Be looking out, to search us up, Cultivate the Culture. That we can give us some feedback, have conversations with us, and we can, whether you want to be on the show, if you're a good guest, opportunity to be on a guest, or have some topics that you want to hear about. We definitely want to hear that. So be looking out for that on your social media outlets. At least Instagram. I'm saying, like, we probably won't be on TikTok, y'all. I'm just trying to be honest with y'all. I don't know. We get an intern or something to post on TikTok, but definitely like on Instagram, maybe on Facebook. Yeah, just look for us. We'll be out there. But yeah, that's it, man. That's the first app down. We're just excited to be back. Once again, tune in, stay abreast. Follow us on social media so you know when we drop. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so when we do upload new episodes, you get it first.
All right.
Any last words? Signet-ring.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's it. We are out, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
The world rather have me a bit tipsy than be completely sober. Show them my concern with pain and arrange my face to disguise my disgust.